Good evening, viewers. It's Josie. Welcome back to Eclectic Movie Reviews. And it's New Year's Eve. Happy New Year, everybody. I hope everyone had a very happy and healthy holiday season. And because it's the last day of 2021, today I'm going to talk about, tonight I'm going to talk about some first time watches of 2021 that left a big impact on me. This is not necessarily a list of my best film discoveries of the year, nor is it ranked. Instead of it's more of a 5 films because thing, like what Brian Sauer and Elric Kane do on Pure Cinema Podcast. And Elric Kane, if you're watching or listening, I'm mentioning one of your favorite movies here. Please note that I do love all of these movies. That I do really like all these films. I just find ranked lists arbitrary, for they are not fixed and they change over time. Uh, anyway, let's get right into it. This list is alphabetical, just so you know. The Abyss, directed by James Cameron. I talked about this in a video I did back in the summer on like uplifting movies and fun blockbusters, and it just really baffles me how this movie doesn't get talked about as much, considering how the special effects were so ahead of their time. The chemistry between Ed Harris and Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio is some of the best in 80s and 90s blockbusters. It's my favorite score by Alan Silvestri. Additionally, the sound design is truly remarkable. There's some moments, absent of music, where you hear like the clanking, the rigging, and the underwater machinery. What is really amazing about James Cameron is how he sometimes invents new technology specifically designed for his movies. I believe for the long upcoming Avatar 2, he invented new underwater technology. As of now, I think The Abyss is currently streaming on Amazon Prime, but it would be great if Disney Plus or Hulu had it, since it is a Fox title, and you know about that whole issue with the vault and everything. But I'm so glad this finally got a 4K Blu-ray release. I definitely want to get it since I got a 4K Blu-ray player for Christmas. Next up is Freaks from 1932, directed by Todd Browning. This is a pre-code horror, I consider it more of a drama, centered on circus freaks traveling in France, played by real-life circus freaks. I don't really want to call them freaks because I don't think it's really politically correct. In the story, a trapeze artist named Cleopatra takes advantage of a circus dwarf named Hans by marrying him. Marrying him for his money, when Hans's true love is actually a fellow circus dwarf named Frida. That's why I consider it to be sort of a love triangle movie. Little does Hans know that Olga is actually trying to kill Hans and run away with his money, with her muscular lover Hercules by her side. In a modern context, it speaks true to how sometimes, still to this day, people with disabilities are sadly taken advantage of. This film was banned for its grotesquely explicit portrayal of differently abled individuals. It bombed at the box office and was not well received. And unfortunately, it ended Todd Browning's career. Of course, it has become a cult classic over time. I was surprised about how emotional this film was. And for the record, I didn't find the portrayal of the freaks as offensive. To be honest, I think it would have been more offensive if they got able-bodied people to play the freaks rather than what they did, and actually did, which was, cast real-life freaks as the freaks. because you know how authentic casting has been a hot topic for today. I can understand why this film was controversial at the time for sure. Personally, I think it was because audiences were appalled to see people who looked like that on screen. Freaks actually takes an empathetic look at these characters. You're supposed to feel bad for them, and you're not supposed to like Cleopatra and Hercules for how they treat the freaks. I saw a review on Letterboxd that read, "The only freaks in this are Cleopatra and Hercules." To me, this film is about a group of characters, mainly Hans and Frida, discovering their own worth and value regardless of appearance and coming together in community. Really. The most emotional element of the film to me was the love story between Hans and Frida. Something about it was just surprisingly sweet. And it's the emotional anchor and heartbeat of the narrative. Freaks, the last time I checked, is available to watch on HBO Max. You can rent it for a couple dollars on Amazon Prime, and it's available on DVD and Blu-ray. Now, warning, the next two films I will be discussing are not appealing to general audiences. I'm not like trying to sound pretentious or anything, but like uh if if you're like a casual or general moviegoer who I don't necessarily recommend the next two movies I'm about to discuss, but I'm just talking about my experience with them. Okay, next film is Happiness from 1998, directed by Todd Solondz. This is one of the most disturbing movies I have ever seen. It was rightfully rated NC-17. I kid you not, a couple of hours after watching it, I almost fainted. Online, the basic summary reads as a group of people living their lives in a suburban community. On paper, this sounds pretty generic, but it's much more richly layered. Going into this, I thought it was going to be one of those twee comedies. Nothing against a good twee comedy, believe me. But I was pleasantly surprised by what I watched instead. I found Happiness to be thought-provoking with the way it tackled old controversial topics and taboos. Its cast includes, but is not limited to, Jane Addams, not the historical figure, the actress' name is Jane Addams, Philip Seymour Hoffman, and off topic, but shout out to his son, Cooper Hoffman, who gives an incredible debut performance in Licorice Pizza. Anyway, move back to Happiness. Dylan Baker, who most of you may know as Dr. Connors in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2. Lara Flynn Boyle, Cynthia Stevenson, and Jared Harris. I don't want to reveal too much about the plot because this is one of those movies where you don't want to know anything going into it. The performances are outstanding. My favorite ones being Jane Addams, Philip Seymour Hoffman, and especially Dylan Baker. I won't give anything away, but Dylan Baker does so well with the portrayal of his character, Bill Maplewood. What Dylan Baker does so well with the portrayal of his character, Bill Maplewood, is the way he brings humanity to such a disgustingly despicable human being. There was a video essay on YouTube called so it was like Happiness Humanizing the Unhumanizable, and that very much applies to Dylan Baker's character. Again, the film doesn't excuse what he does, at all. It's not saying what he's doing is good, but the film gives a very nuanced look into his psyche, if that makes sense. And that also goes for goes for Todd. That all. That also is goes for Todd Solondz's screenplay and direction here. What I love most about this movie is the way it asks the question of what happiness truly is. More importantly, how do we best attain or sustain it? A lesson I had to learn over the past few years, a hard lesson, is that happiness is found from within, not from the outside. That theme is exemplified through Jane Addams's character Joy. I watched this on DVD through an interlibrary loan. While writing this segment, I just had to request a copy of the DVD again. I was put in the mood to watch it again. I don't think it's on Blu-ray, and I'm not sure about its streamability. Because of its controversial subject matter, I don't think distributors would want to touch this. What really bothers me is that while the sequel to Happiness, Life During Wartime, which definitely is nowhere near as good as Happiness, gets a Criterion Blu-ray, but this doesn't. It makes no sense. But anyway, that's Happiness. Moving forward to Possession from 1981, directed by Andrzej Zulawski, a Polish director. I'm probably mispronouncing his name. Elric Kane, I hope you're listening. This is a divorce horror drama starring Sam Neill and Isabelle Adjani as Mark and Anna. The setting is West Berlin, and the falling of the Berlin Wall very much parallels the division of Mark and Anna. In the story, Anna, played by Isabelle Adjani, leaves Mark, Sam Neill, and their son Bob after announcing that she's having an affair with a man. This man's name is Heinrich. He's a drug dealer. Following that, Mark and Anna have multiple violent outbursts. Anna even engages in self-harm. While Mark and Anna are going through their troubles, Mark becomes friendly with Bob's teacher, Helen. She looks exactly like Anna, except she has green eyes. She is also played by Isabelle Adjani. Anna keeps a secret apartment, and Mark hires a private investigator to get a closer look at what Anna has been up to behind closed doors. All I will say is that it is something inexplicably supernatural. That's all I will reveal about the plot. I don't want to give any spoilers away. It's a movie that requires multiple viewings to unpack. I watched it twice because I wanted to pick up on some of the symbolism. More so, I wanted to ride the roller coaster again, if you know what I mean, because this movie is one heck of an emotional roller coaster. Isabelle Adjani won Best Actress at the 1981 Cannes Film Festival, deservedly so. It was so cool seeing Sam Neill in a performance 12 years prior to Jurassic Park and the Piano. Visually speaking, the movie has crisp cinematography with a color palette of blue, gray, and purple. Possession is just as much of a domestic drama as it is of a horror, but the realistic elements do not at all make the film drag. Zulawski is able to make the normal, well, not really normal, the non-supernatural parts feel like horror as well. In fact, I would argue that they are scarier than the supernatural stuff. Much of that has to do with Zulawski's fantastic direction of his actors. The brutal conversations between Sam Neill and Isabelle Adjani's characters, I would be afraid just to listen to outside the door. Once again, this goes to show you how brilliant their performances are. I can see, like, how Sam Neill, was cast in the Piano after watching this movie. For those of you who have seen the Piano from 1993 will understand what I mean. And it is not streaming anywhere. it wasn't available to rent from any Long Island library, so I requested an interloan via WorldCat to get a Blu-ray of it. WorldCat is a union catalog where you can request items from out of state. It's the largest library catalog in the world. If a certain item is unattainable at both your local library and nearby libraries in your county, I would suggest using WorldCat. Next up, the fifth and final film I'm going to discuss today is Son of a White Mare, also from 1981, directed by Marcel Jankovic. I think that's his name. This is a Hungarian animated fantasy based on a Hungarian epic narrative poem. A white horse gives birth to humanoid child, soon to basically become a god. He is raised by her in the boughs of a massive tree. It is there where he learns his familial backstory. The kingdom which belonged to his father was conquered by malevolent dragons from the underworld. As a result of being nursed by this divine horse, he develops superhuman abilities. He gets the name Tree Shaker. After his horse mother dies, Tree Shaker decides to restore universal order. On his journey, Tree Shaker meets his other two brothers, Stormcrumber and Iron Temperer. I think those were their names. They had these really long, majestic names. Together, they go on a mission to rescue 3 princesses from 3 dragons in the underworld and bring back order, power, and justice to their kingdom. Visually and narratively, this film is absolutely gorgeous. It's so beautiful. I just want to like jump in it and ride upon the moving images. As I was watching it, it reminded me a lot of Alejandro Jodorowsky's filmography with the vibrant color palette. If this film were live action, the props and costumes would probably look like those in The Holy Mountain and El Topo. Similar to those films, it's very psychedelic. Put it this way, if The Holy Mountain and Fantastic Planet had a baby, it would be Son of a White Mare. The music is dreamlike. It's both techno and symphonic. The rhythm helps create a celestial mood to the story. Although the imagery of the mountains, trees, and stars is clearly fantastical, their roles in the narrative remind us of the beauty of planet Earth and the importance of caring for it. The evil dragons are reflective of war and man-made machinery causing destruction upon the environment. What I love most about the story is the way the brothers learn to settle their differences and work together as a team to save the universe. It's inspiring. Unfortunately, this film is a little hard to find. A new Blu-ray for it was put out recently from Arbalos, but I don't think any library has it yet. Hopefully, more libraries order it. I watched this on the Criterion channel back in the summer through their art house animation section. I've yet to renew my subscription, so I'm not sure if that is there anymore. It is available to watch on YouTube, so I will put the link in the description below. Let me know in the comments, people, if the art house animation thing is still there on the Criterion channel. But I think that's all I'll have to say about these movies. I will have more poem, stories, and movie-related stuff in the near future. I plan on reviewing some of the Best Picture frontrunners and talking about more of my first time watches of 2021/2022, and giving my own personal Oscars to the movies this year, as well as personal Oscars to my first time watches, like how I did last year. But that said, the links to my socials are below, as well as the link to the Son of a White Mare movie. Happy New Year! It's been a pleasure sharing this with all of you. Um, those of you who listen to it, I hope you check some of these movies out if you're interested. But that's all for now. Goodbye and have a happy new year. I intend you have the best year of your life with more to follow. Bye.